What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Caldwell Painting Podcast. Today, I'm with the infamous Ari Caldwell. What's going on, Ari?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, not too much. Just happy to be doing another podcast. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, first time on y'all's podcast, or our podcast. It's pretty exciting.
Yep, Ari's new to the team. Salesman, paint nerd extraordinaire. So today we're going to be talking, really just about sales, business, the whole 9 yards, just kind of see what comes up. So we got a great episode planned for us today. So stick around. Let's get it rocking. Here we go. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the entrepreneur versus the intrapreneur versus painting production, and not really just painting, but just sales in the home service industry in general, and get our 100% always correct opinion. Of course I joke.
Sure,
I've made a couple mistakes in the past and learned some lessons, but hey, I mean that's why people listen to the podcast. So
yeah, and that's how you learn too. I mean, a couple big punches to the face, and it'll really teach you a lesson.
Yeah, especially, and they're it seems like they're typically financial lessons too, or money's always involved in those hard lessons.
Yeah, maybe that's the way it sticks.
Yeah, maybe, but it's what you got to do to, I guess, get an education. Usually you have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing comes for free. I guess that's just the physics of the universe. So, Ari, before you came to us, you were a painter. So love that. I love people that are in the industry joining the team because, lots of times it shortens the training curve. So, but also, painting it's one of those things like, bringing people into the office world, the sales world of painting. It can always be tricky because there's so many different types of paint. And there's so many different ways to paint, spraying over cobwebs to, mirror, hot gloss, Holland lac, fine paints Europe stuff, and then everything in between.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge spectrum, and for me, it's easy to put myself in their shoes.
Yep.
Some of the super fine finish stuff has been a learning curve.
Sure.
Probably still will be. And I think that's also part of the journey with it, we, spray our own samples. We learn from that and just keep on progressing, keep on getting better.
Yep.
But yeah, being able to put myself in the crew's shoes, I can relate to them. I can understand that when I'm, whether that means I'm producing the job or I'm out there with the customer.
Yeah.
It gets me a good idea of, what to expect.
Yeah.
Anticipate.
Yeah. One thing, you talked about a sample. One thing that I see a lot of painting contractors go wrong on is they'll spend like 20 hours on a sample, just making it perfect. Like, oh, I got to sell this. And then, but you can't do that to a wall, or you can, but you're going to have to move into their house for a year.
Yeah. And you'll make them have very high expectations, and you can't meet that. It's like, well,
we were joking about it earlier today when I was back in the shop. We're doing a Fun Paints Europe sample right now for a job coming up, and telling the guys don't show them a Ferrari, they only want a Honda. It's like, hey, look at this brand new Ferrari, and here's your Honda.
And it can make them feel like they got duped or something.
Yeah, exactly, and that's always like in faux finishing. You can spend so much time on your 3 foot by 3 foot square, and then deliver it and sell that, and it's total. You can't do it on a wall.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I'm curious too with those Venetian plaster samples. It's like a snowflake. It seems like sometimes.
Yeah.
Where you can replicate it, but it might be a little different.
Yeah, and faux finishing as a whole is always kind of that way, and having our team replicate it. It's always handcrafted stuff, and even if we were doing the same size wall, over a 3-week span, 2 different walls doing supposedly the same pattern, it's always going to be a little bit different.
Sure.
It's like with paintings, like artistic paintings.
Yeah.
They're always going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's actually, it's great you brought up art, because I was just thinking to tell you, like, it's kind of, you can't rush art, and the same thing, you can't rush those kinds of faux finishes or the fine finishes, because
Right.
back to, like, from a sales perspective or producing,
Yeah.
right, someone may ask, on a regular interior exterior job, is it how many days are we looking at with this job? When it comes to that stuff, it's like, well, we'd love to put an exact date on it, but there's a lot of factors that come into play, and I think one being to make sure we're achieving the look that they want, something that's like the proper way of applying it. We're not just winging it.
Right.
It has to be done right.
And that's like our business model at Caldwell Painting. It's quality, and it's not. And I'm not saying that, because I don't want people to think, we're snooty and, because a lot of people do, and we're not. But every painting company has a spot in painting, from spraying down apartment complexes. Just because, we do high-end finishes doesn't mean that we're better than somebody that sprays down apartments.
Sure.
Because there's guys that spray down apartments. Like if you want to compare income, oh geez, some of those guys, running through like residential repaints or not residential repaints, but commercial repaints and stuff, the level 1 finishing. Some of those dudes are crazy rich.
Yeah.
So it's like comparing what,
Exactly. I think you told me this too, expensive or a high-end painter, they can paint cheap, but a cheap painter can't, paint expensive.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
That's it. It's clear to me with that, because I've seen that happen. I've been on jobs here, like with us, with Caldwell, where I've seen, I had my handyman or I had someone come and, put this paint on my ceiling or a wall, whatever it was. And mostly it's like when it's a higher sheen, and I'll see all the time just poor application. And I don't hate on those painters, because like,
sure,
how do you expect them to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, you know what it is. I mean, working in paint sales and stuff, it's like, well, how much do you want to spend? You want to spend 10,000 on this wall, or you want to spend, $10?
Yeah. Just throw some paint on there.
So, you come in behind somebody and you see the work. It's like, well, what did that homeowner want in the moment? Now, if there's a trail of paint from the work site through the front door, all along the floor, sure, down the driveway, down the street, a different situation there. But, I mean, you know how it is. Some people are like, I need this done for $400 for moving.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I want to make $400. So, sure, giddy up, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also, like you've taught me too. I mean, that's what I do when I'm out there with these clients, is I'm trying to gauge what their goals are and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And just help them become aware of that, because either they know what they're going to be doing and what it entails.
Right.
And that's financially and timeline and everything that goes within it. And some people, they don't know.
Yep.
And again, that's not their fault. Not like everyone knows everything about painting. So having me tell them, educate them, inform them, really.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's so important, especially in not just painting, but the contracting industry as a whole, is there's so many scammers, and there's so many people that are just there to take your money and, maybe not even show up, just kind of disappear. Unfortunately, we hear horror stories like that all the time. And the biggest thing is, talking with these customers is building that trust with them, doing what you say you're going to do. I'd say too, like if you're just starting off, and this could get kind of tricky, but you don't really have a reputation. You don't really have a name yet, but some of these guys are running around trying to get 50% deposits. It's like, hey, I know there is no trace of me anywhere on the internet, anything. And it's like, but I need half of this up front.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's more for them, they're just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah. They're trying to pay off the last job.
Exactly. Yeah. And that could just be, that's just where their mind is at. And unfortunately, it's like, you can't really change that.
Yeah.
Unless they can see another option, but.
Right. And, a lot of guys will fall apart in this, scenario because they think more equals more, but more times than not equals zero.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is, asking for more money up front, and because somebody else with a better reputation, say they're asking for 10% or zero down or 20% or whatever. and they have the reputation, there's less risk for that homeowner. And it's especially like in down economic turns, everybody thinks that it's the cheapest price that wins.
Sure.
But homeowners are more so interested in looking for a sure thing because they don't want to take the risk. When the economy's going great and, labor is hard to find, you don't know who to trust. They're more willing to take a risk.
Sure.
And a risk being on the cheaper price. But yeah, I find in economic downturns, people are more so wanting a guarantee and a sure thing, and to make sure they're not going to waste their money or lose their money or, whatever.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I heard it a lot actually when I was doing my own work.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if my friend told me it or someone said it, but they were like, an estimate is we're just estimating the price. It doesn't mean that it's exact.
Right.
And then you get into change orders galore, or you the homeowner thinks, oh, I'm spending $4,000 on this job. We finish, and then it's like, hey, by the way, we had to buy $1,000.
Yeah, final bill is $6,000.
And then it's like, what just happened?
Yeah, what did you do? I mean, do you not know how to work a calculator? You don't know what square footage is? And I mean, and there's some instances, some scenarios in construction where, that makes sense.
Sure.
Like with when people call us, about fine paints of Europe, it's like, or not even fine paints of Europe, but just some mirror gloss stuff.
Sure.
How much is this going to cost? Well, there's a lot of variables, and I always describe it as a TV. You want 240p or you want 8K?
Sure.
What definition do you want on that wall? Because there's a bunch of different ways to do it.
Sure.
The material doesn't really change. It's still just crazy expensive regardless.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too. It's like even if you want to play in the game, whether you want to go completely mirror gloss or still be in that kind of running space with the fine paints, all that material is not going to change because of the level of finish you're going to.
Right.
It's still the same cost for the paint.
Yeah, it's your labor that runs up.
Exactly.
And I mean, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. And but it comes back down to that customer base. It's like, show me some of your work that you've done, see that you're even capable of taking it to that level. But also, do you have trust in that contractor to execute on this? It's like, am I going to walk in and, y'all haven't worked 6 hours the entire day?
Sure.
But you're billing me for it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with that is, each step of the way with that homeowner or, if it's a new build working with that contractor, it's like, man, we'll prep this wall till you tell me to stop, each coat, where did these imperfections? Sure. And lots of times, when the wall's flat, currently in the moment, you don't know necessarily, you can kind of get an idea, but you don't necessarily know with the, 50% certainty, where those imperfections are going to start showing up on the entire wall.
Yeah, and I feel like on those jobs too, from my position, I also like to keep people in touch. I do that with any sort of work that we're doing. But I think specifically with that stuff too, if they're going to be spending a lot of money, just actively keeping them involved. And that doesn't mean every step that we're doing, but just say, hey, we started today, we'll be back tomorrow. Just like this simple stuff, but keeping them in the loop. Because something with that, they're excited. They really, really want to see how this is going to come out because it's something super unique. So make sure that they're calm and relaxed and they know what's going on.
Yeah. Communication. And, a lot of customers, it's like, I don't care if you bring me bad news. I just don't want to hear no news. Yep. I don't want you to disappear on me. Yep. Just keep me in the loop because it's a team effort, and with the customer because it's their house that you're, trying to make their dreams come true, take them through the finish line and get what they're paying for
And they know that you're involved, because since I'm not doing the painting, right, we have a crew working on that job. They don't think that I'm kind of just like I've walked away or I'm stepped out of it. It's like, no, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I'm with you.
And, a lot of, I would say most, paint companies that, I don't know, run, say if $600,000, $700,000 a year up, they'll run a salesman and a production manager. And we used to do that model because that's, just kind of seems to be the norm, but quickly got away from it, especially like with the higher end finishes. And we decided to really, well, our business model, but focusing on customer service and high quality. Because what happens with these other paint companies is they'll have a salesman there that is just promising the world. Like, hey, we walk my dog. Oh, yeah, definitely. Gonna walk that dog for you.
Get them some treats.
Yeah, get them some treats, just making all these outlandish promises because all they care about is the sell.
Yeah.
But in customer service, it doesn't always really work out. So then what happens is you have this salesman that's making all these promises and then passes over to production, this big pile of crap.
Yeah.
And then production's left. You promised him what? You did this? Like, oh, yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you gave me the analogy. It was like handing someone a bunch of marbles, like in your hands.
Yeah,
they're gonna drop something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's gonna come out, and I think what I really love about that, like being able to produce those jobs that I am selling, is that just like when I was by myself, there was like a personal touch to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, because literally I was everything.
Because you're putting your craft on it.
Exactly.
You're putting your craft on it, and and then when it comes down to it, you'll be like day 2 or 3 of a project, and like, oh yeah, I did tell him that.
Yeah.
Well, I better do it.
Yeah, and it's like the little things that counts for people too.
Yeah.
Is they really care that, you listened, you heard them, you took it in, you didn't just one in ear out the other, not that kind of stuff. It's more, I'm soaking it in, I'm taking notes, and I'm going to remember this for, when we're starting.
Yeah. And, for painting contractors and really all contractors, so like if you're past that, $700,000, $1 million a year model, think back to when your business was the best. It was when you were selling it, producing it, and collecting the check, walking around with the customer at the end of it. Because you cared about it, you were actively involved. You're not running around doing, focused on, your next payday every day. And that's when we switched to that model, with other salesmen that worked for us in the past, we had to shake them out because they didn't really have that same care for quality. They just wanted to get money and then leave, and really didn't care much about painting, except for painting just being a means to make money.
Sure.
And I didn't want to build a business on that.
Yeah, and you can't have that. I mean, at least for me, it's like kind of an unnatural mindset with that.
Yeah.
It's just like it hits me hard because that's the old business I worked for in Philadelphia. My boss was like that back there when I was physically doing the painting, and then back here on my own, it was that same way. So having to still live that out, it's like authentic and real, and it's like the only way to do it because, touching the things you just said there too, like you're having that communication, you're building that trust with those things you're remembering. I mean, it's just all kind of interconnected with each other. And you're just building up that, foundation for a working relationship with the customers.
And because, too, from that point on, that client has a connection with you. You're their go-to guy. Yeah. There is no middleman that's, muddying the waters or, there's no arguments going by. It's like, well, did you promise him you'd do it? Well, yeah, we better go do it. Yeah. And too, with a lot of the finishes, faux finishes and stuff that we do, we have to train our team on it and then be there in the moment, for these finishes. And, that stuff's big money, and it's, big money because we're there making sure it goes right.
Of course, checking in on every step too.
Yeah.
Because that kind of stuff, you don't want to miss anything. I mean, with all of anything that we're doing, you don't want to miss something, but you want to make sure you're on the ball. You're just aware.
Yeah. And then also, having great crews helps.
Yeah.
Having great team members,
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit about like your transition from painter to sales and production and all of that stuff. How's that road been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting. I'd say in the beginning it was pretty tough, as someone could imagine. I mean, I was literally going from painting, 40 hours a week to now no painting. I mean, I'm not on the brush, not doing anything.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going into people's homes and helping them kind of get their projects done for them. And for me, it was, I think this the best, is all I thought about was really the production. That's where my mind was. It was all in just how we're going to do it. I can explain to them how we're going to do it.
Yeah. How do I keep my promises?
Yeah. Tell them about I can tell them about the products, like all that good salesman stuff, the product knowledge. But then when it came to, closing or final walkthroughs and really kind of like sealing the deal on things,
right,
dealing with obligations and stuff like objections and stuff like that. That's where that was where that learning curve was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a day by day thing, you know, but I'd say since from when I started, I've really accumulated a lot. I'd say for me, it's really just learning with experience, right? You said in the beginning too, making some mistakes, you know, and thank God hasn't been anything too bad, you know, but you know, you learn, you ask. I think that's the other thing too, which I love about Caldwell. I can, you know, call or talk to anybody, you know, and get people's opinion, you know, and that's just, I'm just accumulating knowledge. I feel like it's really helping me grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, since you've been here, just watching your growth too in the, you know, just kind of the entrepreneurial space, you know, because the environment that we create here is for letting entrepreneurs run their business, you know, under our guidelines. But, you know, there's no caps, you know, you can make as much money as you want. And it's really set up more like, you know, like insurance salesmen or real estate agents or, you know, that kind of thing. And as you keep growing, add to your personal team. But at the same time, holding the standards of the company, you know, you can't wreck the car, you know, and that system has been really great, you know, and moving forward on that, it's been really good.
Yeah, and that took me a minute too to get used to that. Still, you know, from time to time, I'll remember, you know, there's other people I can talk to. I don't have to do this all by myself.
There's still team members.
And then it goes the other way where it's like, oh my God, am I asking too much? But then, you know, I just kind of balance myself out, and I'm like, how else am I going to know?
Yeah,
I can't just snap.
Because like one of the big things right now in the painting space is franchises.
Yeah.
You know, like franchises are huge, and, you know, some are better than others. But what I've found with not necessarily just painting franchises, but, you know, you give them the money up front, it's like, all right, go have fun, you know, and pay me a percentage, you know, from here on out. And it's, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the woods with franchises.
We might have to put a bunch of bleeps in here.
Yeah, right. But, you know, what I've found with a lot of these contractors that have been promised the world is, you know, they don't typically have painting backgrounds. They don't come, you know, they may have like a week or two of training, and then it's like, hey, go figure it out and forever send money back our way. And then when something goes wrong, you know, they're just kind of left up in the air, you know, and they're typically don't come from a painting background. And, you know, when something goes wrong, they're like, you know, they don't even know that something went wrong.
Yeah.
Or when, you know, and until they're arguing with the customer and, you know.
Yeah. You really need to learn from somebody else. I mean, that's just my opinion. Yeah. Because I know for some of those guys, they'll learn from like sales reps and stuff like that with different paint product companies. And with that, you just kind of get misguided because they're not painting, just like you've never painted. It's like, then you're just like two nails bunching against each other.
Right. Yeah. It's like, this is 4 wet mills. What do you mean?
Yeah. It's like, well, I get you a mill gauge. You know?
It's like, can you show me how to, you know, it's like, I don't know what this is. It looks like some credit card thing. But yeah, I mean, especially if you're going to specialize in the, you know, the oddball stuff. I think the franchise stuff, it does good for your, you know, basic spray downs and, you know, and there's
a niche for it.
But there's also good franchises out there. You know, the rare good franchise that does that really high end work. But I would suspect all of them are desperately trying to get out of a franchise agreement.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back also, I wanted to take it back. I know you mentioned it briefly there with the, you know, entrepreneurship, that whole setup here. And when I had, you know, first reached out to you for an interview, you know, and you explained it to me, that was kind of like, whoa, I feel like that might be kind of the right place for me to fit into. And also at the same time, I was like, how does that work? You know, like I was kind of confused initially, but now it's actually, I think it's an amazing setup because it just gives me so much more kind of drive, you know, to do better. And, you know, there's all this opportunity, like you said, in front of me.
Right.
It's just going out and getting it.
The nice thing about like the entrepreneur setup is, you know, because when you had your painting business and you're that true entrepreneur, you know, you would put the brush down and then have to go home and fire up QuickBooks, and then have to go, you know, do all these admin elements of a painting business that suck.
Yeah, color consoles and stuff like that.
Yeah. Where in the entrepreneurial side of it, or the intrapreneurial side of it, you have an entire team to like block for you. And it's like, all right, I get to do the stuff that, it all matters. But, as a painter, you get to do all, let's say, the fun stuff.
Sure.
You get to go out there, sell it, and produce it, you know?
Yeah, and I still feel really involved with it. That's why I was worried I'm gonna fall out of touch. But it's like, no, it's fun,
it's involved.
You're with it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I actually did a sample in the back where I put some primer, dry one for a second. I'm like, whoa. I was like back in
yeah, because you got that YouTube video coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, comparing all the different primers.
Stain blocking primers. Yeah.
Yeah, stain blocking primer. Which ones are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm doing, and hopefully I'll remember all of them off the top of my head. But we got a Kills Red, that's oil. Kills Red.
Oh yeah, put some kills on it.
Yeah, put some kills.
Put some kills on it.
Yeah, I got some Zinsser's cover stain. That's, basically, and then I got Extreme.
So you got Home Depot and Lowe's covered.
Yeah, I got them all covered. I got Extreme Block. That's Sherwin.
Okay.
I can't remember the Benjamin Moore one. Do you remember
Aqualock?
Aqualock, yeah, but it's the oil-based one.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one, and then I have the Enduro, the stain blocker.
Okay.
Gonna roll 2 coats of all of them.
All right.
Trying them on some different. I'm gonna save it. I want to spoil the video. Try them on some different stained substrates and kind of just compare them and see how they hold up. And the idea of it is just to show you either one, if someone is painting somewhere where there's some heavy stains, how you can do it yourself, or if you've hired a painter or you're wanting to hire a painter to come to your house,
or if you are a painter and looking for a better stain.
Yeah,
because blocking out a stain can be infuriating.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah, it can be infuriating.
Yeah.
When are you shooting that video?
Probably next week.
Okay, cool. So probably going to be a week and a half, 2 weeks till it's up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I thought I'd get it done sooner, but things.
I really enjoy doing the product comparison videos because seriously, like leading into it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know which one's going to win. I have ideas, but that's part of it too. Being able to put our teams and our clients on the best product right from the jump.
Yeah, and all the products for me were more, what's my go-to thought on, just what would I grab if I was grabbing a stain blocker?
Sure. And for most painters, it's convenience based.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it the best product?
That's the thing.
It's like, man, it's taking 4 coats and it's still not working.
Yeah, and that could be a expensive mistake there too.
Very.
Whether that means you gotta build too much up on that substrate, in terms of product, or you just spent, so much money. Yeah. Especially with that Enduro one. You'll you might get overdraft your account.
I think it's around 100 a gallon.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. You're on premium. You switch to that premium level.
Maybe. Let's find out. We're gonna find out in the YouTube video. Is it a waste of money or is it the bargain?
We'll see. Yeah. And that's the one last thing about it too is these all happen to be oil-based. None of them are water. Actually, Enduro's water.
Enduro's water.
So, yeah. So, all the other ones are oil, and it's not to compare water versus oil-based. It's really just, these are the top ones out of these top brands. Let's just see how they hold up with each other.
Right.
Just put them in the fighting ring,
Yeah. I'm pretty curious about that. See which one wins. Because, like I said, I do have my favorite in the bunch. But let's see if if it holds up.
Yeah. I'm going to take them all equally through the ringer. Just go through it.
Yeah. Just like ridiculous tests,
Got to. That's life,
That's cool, man. I'm excited to see it. So, guys, I think that's going to wrap it for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me whack the microphone on my outro real quick. Tune in, here in the next couple weeks for Ari's YouTube video, and that's Caldwell Painting on YouTube. So thanks for making it to this point, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.